So welcome to Friday, and the first submitter that we have, and just to let you know some of the rules, or some, not rules, there are no rules, so there are some rules, sorry, but you are being live streamed, so just be aware that it is going out, and actually there is an audience, so just be aware of that. So the first person that we have is Michael Sweeney. Welcome, Michael. If you just come here, and you've got 5 minutes and you can use it however you like, but if you want us to ask you questions, it needs to be within that 5-minute period. Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Vicky's good.
Vicky. I've got some...
Oh no, you get the real thing now. Just fine. Michael Sweeney's just starting. Sorry, I just took you.
I apologise, sorry. I just had a prior meeting and it ran late.
I've got a hand out.
What's happened to this?
Thank you.
You're obviously taller than I am. You keep putting the chair down. Oh! Sorry. We're off to a bad start here. Thank you very much for being here. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor Leanne. I readily acknowledge the plan has to start somewhere, but my concern is that there is no commitment to rework it once the real figures are known. What we will have is a plan that will see the present generation of ratepayers committed to even more exorbitant rate increases because the silver will have been sold and further borrowings will not be entertained. Not one of you would commence a rebuild of your own home without first knowing the true cost of the job, the actual amount being received from the insurance payout, and where the balance of the funds are coming from. You should not presume to do anything less for the ratepayers of Christchurch whom you represent. I used one example in my submission, the funding of the AMI Stadium repair rebuild. The figures used in the plan show a total council cost of $253 million, funded by insurance payout of $143 million and borrowings of $110 million. However, a short time after these figures were published, there appeared an article on the front page of the press where the insurance company suggested the payout may be as low as $50 million.
Yes, they would say that, wouldn't they?
How can funding models be suggested or settled upon when the base data is so incomplete? You are proposing a rate increase of more than 8.5%, which is totally unacceptable given the rate of inflation. If the insurance payout for the stadium is only $50 million, then the initial rate rises will be the thin end of the wedge. You have stated in the plan that further borrowings will not be entertained. The assets will have been sold by then, and so this means the shortfall will require further rate increases. It is not fair that the present generation of ratepayers bear the full brunt of the repair rebuild. The proposed sale of assets, designed to produce a certain realisable figure, is putting the cart before the horse. The earthquakes were a national disaster requiring a national response. It is not good enough for central government to set arbitrary time frames or monetary limits on its involvement in the repair rebuild. The plan states that the repair rebuild needs a new approach and for Christchurch to think creatively. But there are no such matters contained in the plan. One way to think creatively would be to make more central government assistance a priority. If the true costs and true levels of recoveries were the baseline of the plan, then this would be an achievable objective. The true figures must be arrived at as quickly as possible, and then the sale of city assets should form part of the discussion for greater central government assistance. Once the assets are sold, then this door is closed to any further discussion. The sale of assets is a step that must be taken only as a last resort. the plan is not the last resort. It is only a very loosely put together beginning. If the costs and the recoveries as set out in the plan are relied upon, then these will come back to haunt the council into the future. Like your own home repair rebuild, you must know the full picture before implementing the program. Before I go to the last page with the last couple of points, I wonder, Amelia, if I could just clarify, on page 47 of the consultation document, it's the anchor projects. And I was just trying to understand the Central Library, for example. What it says there is that the council contribution is 75 million. What is the total cost to rebuild the library?
75 million plus 10, which is, in theory, comes from philanthropic donations arranged through Sarah, but it has to fit within the budget. So it's the total budget of 85. If we don't raise the 10, then it will be modified.
So the total cost of the library is 85 million. The government are not putting any money into the Central
No, but
Library.
they're providing the land. But I mean,
Excluding the land.
It excludes the land, but of course they took our land where the Central Library used to be.
Anyway,
Yeah.
you own that.
Yeah.
And what's the improvement allowance?
Well, we don't now, but we don't now.
No,
but
because they took it under the.
But I assume that we didn't. Were we fundraised? We weren't compensated for that, though, were we? Were we?
Part of the cost share. Part of the cost share negotiation.
It was 90 million, 30 million from the Crown for the land, and 60 million from council. But since then, the council's added another 15, so that took it up to 75, and there was 10 million philanthropic coming from the Crown that was kind of in question.
Yeah.
And the insurance payout of 8.2, is that set in stone? Is that an amount that you're actually guaranteed to get?
No. Well, 8.2 what?
That's what it says. The insurance, it says 8.2 million is coming from insurance. You're funding your 75 million by 8.2 insurance, 27 land and 15 improvement allowance.
The insurance claim hasn't been settled.
No, our insurance hasn't been settled, and the library is one of the disputed claims, as is Lancaster Park.
That's a phenomenally low figure, Leanne, isn't it?
What for?
For insurance payout on a library that I mean, the previous library would have been in the vicinity of what, 30 million, 40 million to build?
No, not this.
Not then?
It's been around for a long time. It didn't cost that much to build. I mean, the convention centre cost $20 million in the day.
Right.
Look how much we're spending today.
But was that not replacement insurance then on the library?
No, we had sort of some insurance, so we had a fixed amount we insured it, but the library wasn't.
But look, I really don't want you to focus your time. I mean, there is clearly, it hasn't been helped. Our situation has not been helped by two factors. One is the discovery that the previous chief executive signed a clarification on the cost-sharing agreement saying that our council would meet our obligations on the anchor projects regardless of the insurance recoveries on the individual projects. Regardless.
And
your point about actually doing that, that is actually that you should know the actual amount received from your insurance before you enter into deals, I could not agree with you more.
And my encouragement...
Unfortunately, we inherited an agreement that had already been signed which said that we would meet our responsibilities under the cost share for the anchor projects regardless of the insurance recoveries for each and every one of those items.
And Leanne, I'm suggesting that you and this council have the ability to be able to go back and renegotiate that, because of what we're seeing already from central government regarding the delays, regarding the amount of contributions. My encouragement is that you do just that.
We have certainly indicated to central government that there is much that we wish to talk about.
It's not a local problem. It was a national disaster requiring a national response.
Yes, but it was a national disaster, but it occurred locally, and we have to make a contribution. The question is, how do we fund our contribution, and what is a fair share for Christchurch?
I appreciate that. I'll go to the second page.
Yep.
The council could think creatively by erecting the central library as quickly as possible and then providing for opening hours of at least 12 hours per day and providing for a free library bus to bring people to the facility. This would result in the facility being fully utilised. I suggest all libraries at present are underutilised.
I don't think that's correct. I mean, the measure of success in terms of council facilities would be our libraries. They're full all the time. People complain every time we look at the hours.
But I mean, I think the answer there is that if they were open longer, the ones that you've got, then you may be able to replace or at least hold the costs on having to build further ones immediately while you do something like that by opening up for a longer hours.
Right.
I'm just saying, think creatively.
You've
committed 100 million to
totally
other libraries,
Totally
meeting rooms in the library could be allocated by dividing the city into community areas and providing specified days for each area to utilise the community rooms for community meetings. The Community Law Centre could be located in the same complex to encourage even greater use of Central City.
Yeah, we've also had submissions from the Citizens Advice Bureau who want to co-locate.
The planned convention centre will front onto Cathedral Square, but there is no discussion taking place as to the revamp of Cathedral Square. I say leave Victoria Square alone and direct these efforts and funds into Cathedral Square. The planned new colleges at QE2 should include the swimming complex within them and then an agreement reached as to school and community use. The city simply cannot afford every facility its citizens would like in the next decade. There must be some creative solutions, but the plan as presented offers none. My hope is that an amended plan will be produced, providing realistic costs and recoveries based on actual data and not best guess calculations, which will of themselves drive the need to be creative and to insist on further central government assistance.
No, thank you very much, and certainly it's, as it was stated in the consultation document, it's a base case. I'm sure after hearing all of the submissions, councillors are very alert to the range of views that have been expressed, and will be certainly the long-term plan will be changed as a result.
Mary Ann, it's been lovely for me to have the time to be able to come here and share these thoughts with you. Over the last few years, I've had thoughts, but I haven't had time to share them. It's been a delight to be here. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for coming. Thank you. Kate Bird.